13. Non-private man. An organization in Connecticut which calls itself the Church of Truth has issued a new set of 10 commandments in the name of God. This rewriting of God's law is based on their logic and reason, which enables them somehow to, quote, correct, end quote, God. The pronouncement in full reads, "The commandments of God, as revealed through logic and reason to the Church of Truth. 1. I, thy Lord and thy God, command thee not to bother thy neighbour, so long as thy neighbour is not a clear threat unto thee. 2. Whatsoever thou shalt do unto thy neighbour, thou shalt have done also unto me. By this law will I measure my worthiness to enter the kingdom of heaven. 3. Thou shalt honour thy contracts with thy neighbour. 4. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbour. 5. Thou shalt not steal. 6. Thou shalt not harm the property of others. 7. Thou shalt not commit murder. 8. Take care not to sanction any group which breaks my laws. 9. For sins of impurity and disrespect thou shalt answer to me, and no other. 10. For sins of covetousness thou shalt answer to me, and no other. My highest law is, every person has an absolute right to do anything that is not a provable threat to others. The Church of Truth, Enfield, Connecticut, 1979. In this pronouncement, God is simply a stage prop and no more. Quote, logic and reason, end quote, of a humanistic, libertarian variety prevail. Moreover, we clearly have salvation by works, that is, worthiness to enter the kingdom of heaven. But central to this bit of arrogance is the assertion of man's, quote, absolute right to do anything that is not a provable threat to others. The realm of the absolute is man, not God. Law and rights are man's prerogatives, not God's. The opinions expressed in this pronouncement are commonplace, both outside and within the Church. They are basic to the sexual, quote, revolution, end quote, and to the homosexual's self-justification that consenting acts between adults are private and therefore outside the law. The idea of private rights and immunities is increasingly important in modern thought. Privacy is spoken of as a human need, as a right, and as a necessary aspect of human development. Of course, mankind, for centuries, had no such doctrine, and great men appeared in history who never heard of this concept. Why is it suddenly so prevalent? The word private tells us much. It comes from the Latin privatus, the past participle of privo, separate. In the process of its English usage, it has picked up meanings and connotations which reflect Christian history. For the Christian, the separate or separated is usually equivalent with the holy, the uniquely dedicated. The army private is separated from rank and office and dedicated to the front lines in war. The sexual organs are called privates because they are separated from public view to a particular function. The public sector and the private are set apart, the private being ostensibly outside the law and purely personal. That which is private is separated from something, whether it be an army office or officership, or from public law and jurisdiction. We see, at present, efforts to increase the public and private sectors alike. Both efforts are humanistic. The public sector means the state, usually, and statist jurisdiction, which increasingly encroaches on every other area of life. The private sector is the concern of various libertarian and anarchistic groups who wish to challenge state sovereignty with man's personal sovereignty. Neither view can be squared with Scripture. Rather, according to the Bible, man can have no private domain before his Maker, who knows him totally and has decreed all man's ways. The Lord told Jeremiah, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. Jeremiah was totally known to God before his conception. No private realm outside of God is possible for man, since man is totally God's creation. Modern man, however, insists on his, quote, privacy, end quote. A common form of self-flattery is to say, "I'm a very private person." It means commending ourselves as more advanced, self-made gods who have a right to our own idea of holiness, separation, or privacy. The earlier insistence on privacy was mystical. The way to holiness for the mystic means a withdrawal into himself as the way to the Holy of Holies. For modern man, in the full-fledged mysticism of the ego, it is to avoid the continual drain of the demands of society and responsibility that an emphasis on privacy is made. One self-tortured, quote, very private person, end quote, once remarked, "If I were God, I would never have made the world, except maybe to have something to get mad at." The holy sanctuary, the place of separation from the world, is turned into ourselves, our privacy. The result, among other things, is a profound pessimism. This is very sharply stated for us by Asaph in Psalm 73. A private person has private reactions, not godly ones. Asaph, reacting to the evil around him in personal and private terms, recounts his progressive despair and virtual abandonment of hope. Psalm 73, verses 2, 3, 14 and 15. Quite plainly, Asaph, like all of us, faced here a particular problem or a complex of problems, which not only brought him personal distress and grief, but also made him intensely aware of the evils and miseries of this present world. He was almost gone. He was so deeply shaken. His problem was in being a, quote, private person, end quote, in seeing the world only through his situation and experience. So foolish was I, and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. Psalm 73, verse 22. As ox or a buffalo sees the world only in terms of his needs and experience, Asaph says that, in his foolishness, he similarly limited his vision. This continued, "Until I went into the sanctuary of God, then understood I their end." Psalm 73, verse 17. Asaph's reference to going into God's sanctuary is significant. There, Asaph was in God's house, a place of separation. Asaph's pessimism rested on private, separate thoughts and concerns. He had viewed the world in terms of his predicament, not in terms of God. Being a private man with private thoughts and judgments had well nigh destroyed him. The same holds true for our time. Modern man's insistence on private rights, private comforts, and privacy in general is suicidal. It is an insistence that it is our separation unto ourselves which is decisive for our lives, when it is, rather, our separation unto the Lord, His Word, and our calling in Him. Such a separation can be difficult, as it was for Jeremiah, but it means life and righteousness. Whereas our idea of separation is sin and death. Man is non-private man because he is God's man.